Ah, great. So we're live again, and if you just came from the last video, no, I'm shooting this on a completely different day. This is not the same sitting, not at all. But important stuff. Let's talk a little bit about melody and accompaniment, and that's going to be the focus of this video. In the last video, I teased two features of the piano and two aspects of its nature. The fact that it was both a percussion and a string instrument, and now the fact that you can play both the melody and the accompaniment at exactly the same time on the piano. That's what makes it such a joy to arrange on the piano for, because if you play the piano, you can be your own show, and you can play effectively any piece of music that has a melody and an accompaniment, which is like 99.9% of it. You can play anything in that field of music. That's what makes the piano and our keyboard instruments really so amazing. So, with this in mind, let's make the most out of it in our arrangements. Now, generally, melody is played in the right hand and accompaniment is played in the left hand. And some time should be spent on these terms, what exactly they mean. Well, the melody is one single line of music. It is the part that we all sing. It's, well, the part that's the most distinctive element of any kind of music we hear. There's an interesting theory about this, because apparently in the past our ancestors had no instruments except their voices, and we all know that you can only sing one note with your voice. So the melody seems to have evolved out of that in some way, and now I guess our brains are tuned to listen for distinctive single lines of music. But we all know that music with only one line or just one note and nothing else can be quite boring, which is why over time, I guess, and throughout the development of music, from vocal music in the church to instrumental music in chambers, we have now accompanied music. Along with melodies, we have different parts that support the melody, and essentially, very crudely, any part that is not the melody forms a part of the accompaniment. And in the piano, when you're playing the piano, you're playing both. You're playing the melody in the right hand and the accompaniment in the left hand. And of course, you got to coordinate it. That's a different story. But that's the magic of the piano, and that's what makes it so awesome to arrange for. Now, of course, the question is this: what's in the accompaniment? Well, if you say it's everything else, is there any way that we can pigeonhole it? This is what I've tried to do. Now, the accompaniment has three main functions. The first is to support the harmony of the melody, that is to add chord tones and different things to it. The second is to support it with rhythm, that is, once again, drive and punch and motion. And finally, to support it in texture. The most complicated but also the most important of these, of course, is harmony. And we'll be spending at least 2 or 3 videos talking about harmony, because it really is quite technical, but it's the most rewarding part of music arranging if you get it. But today we're not going to talk about any of that. We're just going to do some comparing and contrasting between melody and accompaniment. So for this, I've prepared 2 extracts from one of my own arrangements, and you can just take a look at it from here. It looks pretty, well, it looks entirely different, doesn't it? Let's take a listen to the first extract. And before we go on, let's talk a little bit about what we just heard. Now, in the right hand, we've got the part that you can sing. If I played it without playing the left hand, it still makes just as much sense, just less interesting. In fact, I can play it out right here. You can imagine yourself singing this, can't you? Like the aria, the serenade, the beautiful part. Whereas the left hand, I mean, what does it do? It just plays notes. It just like kind of hangs there. Like it's pretty boring in many ways, and even when it plays stuff, it doesn't make as much sense. That's the accompaniment function. So when you put the melody and the accompaniment together, you're supposed to create soundscapes, create magical things. That's the whole idea of music. And on the piano, you can do that. So when you put the melody and accompaniment together for this section, we have this. And a lot of arranging, if I may talk over this, just figuring out the right balance between melody and accompaniment. Because you want the melody to be heard, you want to give it its light, you want it to be that aria or serenade, or just, you know, that beautiful tribute to whoever you're singing it to. You want it to be that. And you want the accompaniment to paint it. You want it to support it in the most beautiful light you can place the melody in. What is the effect of that? If you give the melody so much focus and so much attention, what does it do? One of the most important bits of treating a melody seriously, in my own view that is that melodies tend to come back, tend to recur, and sometimes they recur in completely different ways, as is the case for this particular arrangement. So now I'm going to play the second part of this arrangement, and try to tell me if, despite seeing how messy this is, you can still hear the melody. So it's completely different. This section has just changed the character of the melody so much. But you can still hear the melody, can't you? Because it's been developed, and now you hear it coming back. You hear it evolving, you hear it growing and developing. That's the essence of music, really. And if I were to just play the right hand of this, you know, if I were to just play this part, in fact. Oh, that's not how I thought it would go. Let's try again. Oh. There's still some accompaniment in that. But you hear that aria, that serenade. So that's the beauty of treating a melody seriously. When it comes back grandly and majestically, beautifully. And the accompaniment, what does it do? It supports it. So now through this video, I hope that we can all appreciate how important melodies are when it comes to music arranging, and especially for the piano, where you can play the accompaniment yourself. And now that we know to treat a melody seriously, we're going to be spending the next few videos talking about the accompaniment. We'll be talking about harmony, we'll be talking about rhythm, and then finally, we'll be talking about texture. So thank you so much for tuning in once again, and have a wonderful, wonderful day. Take care of yourself.